Hello everyone, welcome to the Kevin Lee Social. Thank you for tuning in. What initially began as an 8-part series interviewing entrepreneurs to share and inspire how they've successfully pivoted during COVID-19, I have decided not only to continue this series, but also to expand on the scope to understand and learn about people's craft, philosophy, the challenges they face in the industry, and their favorite failures that have helped shape them to become who they are today. By going deeper and understanding different thought leaders, businesses, and industries, the idea is to help cross-pollinate ideas applicable in your life and inspire action in this new norm we live in. I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you. Before we get on with the show, today's podcast is sponsored by Altitude Tea. Altitude Tea specializes in rare and exotic teas you can't find on supermarket shelves. Teas grown on high altitudes are more nutrient-dense due to the cold nights and misty peaks that slows the growth of the tea plant, leading to a higher concentration of aromatic oils and richer flavors. They are located in Waterloo and they do private tea ceremonies where you can learn how to drink tea mindfully using a traditional gongfu set and have over 20 varieties of tea to choose from. For our listeners, you can use the code BEYOND at checkout for 15% off. Today we have visionary PR entrepreneur Justin Breen. Justin is a global connector and is a part of the Strategic Coach and Abundance 360 network. Justin is the founder of BrEpic Communications and BrEpic Network. He's also a #1 best-selling author of Epic Business and is working on his next release, Epic Life. Justin looks to partner with the 0.1% because they create the technologies, companies, and systems that benefit the other 99.9%. Everyone, please help me welcome Justin. Hi, Justin. How are you today? Thank you for coming on to the Kevin Lee Social Podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. You're a day later than me. I'm 17 hours before you. So it's Wednesday here and Thursday there. Then you have your restaurant's called the Mayflower, which is really interesting that you chose a ship from England to the US, like a Voyager ship, and you're in Australia. And I've always thought of myself as going off into uncharted waters, and then you make the trip. Like people up here, you do it, and then everybody else follows. So I thought that was an interesting name. Why did you choose that name? That's an interesting for a restaurant in Australia. That was fascinating to me.
It was due to 2 points. Firstly, it is based on the ship because we did do our rebranding during the COVID pandemic 2 years ago. Basically in Sydney for us. During our first lockdown, we decided we needed a new beginning, and that represented new beginnings for us. So we thought that was very fitting for it. The second part of it was that actual space that we were in, Darlinghurst in Sydney, used to be a florist back in the 1980s. And we did wanted something with flower in it. We had decorated the place with lots of flowers, and so we thought we'd pay a double homage to those two. Hence the Mayflower.
Yeah, it's really smart. I actually, like, I'm a high fact finder. I'm like endlessly curious about stuff. Is there a similar ship in Australian history, like a ship from India or England or South Africa that went to Australia? And like, is there a Mayflower in Australian history?
I believe there's plenty of ships. The one that my parents...
But a famous one.
But a famous one, I'm not too familiar with.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's how my brain works. I don't know, I'm like a little kid, and I like most of my days talking to the world's top entrepreneurs, and I'm just endlessly fascinated. I'm like endlessly curious about things like that. Like that you like put that much thinking, and then you connected the dots with a new beginning and then actual flowers. That's just really smart, very creative.
Thank you very much, Justin. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Justin, I wanted to get us kicked off started about your story starting BrEpic. And also if you could touch on how your book, Epic Business, came along as well. I'll let you take the floor on that.
Yeah, so a name, right? Name's everything. You put more thought into yours than I did. Most people do. My brain oh, there you go. I'll just do that. So actually, we're coming up on the 5-year anniversary. February 10th, 2017, I had my job salary cut as a journalist, cut in half. And I couldn't find a job. So I have zero business background, zero. So My wife surprised me with a trip up to, in the Midwest of the United States, a 5-star resort. She surprised me for my 40th birthday. That was April 10th, 2017. And on the way up, I'm like, oh, I'll just start a company, call it BrEpic. So BR, first 2 letters of my last name, and I just like saying epic. So, oh, okay, do that. No business background, zero, never took an entrepreneurial class. And here we are 5 years later. Now I have 2 companies, BrEpic, global PR firm that only partners with top visionaries on planet, and then BrEpic Network, global collaborative platform, LinkedIn without the BS. There's a BrEpic Scholarship Fund, BrEpic Founders Award, BrEpic T-ball baseball team. Oh. It's funny. It's just funny. Like I think it's hilarious. It certainly didn't start out hilarious. Getting job salary cut in half, couldn't find a job, incorporated. Over the next 6 weeks, reached out to 5,000 people to find first 5 clients while I was working full time at half the salary. So that wasn't funny then. But now it's, yeah, I was just born to be this. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the Mayflower, just go out there and, okay, just figure it out.
Yeah. Wow. It's that first step for everyone. Leaving, their work and taking that pay cut and trying something new is a very scary kind of new terrain, but exciting at the same time. And
well, most people can't do it, Kat. Most people can't do it. I'm very grateful. We're both in Abundance 360. Peter Diamandis is he's written the foreword for my next book. The first one's called Epic Business. The new one's Epic Life. That's coming out later, but he's doing the foreword. But my whole world is you don't make excuses. Anyone that makes excuses to me, they would never get in the Mayflower. I don't, I just partner with people that they'll get on the ship and they'll make the investment. People that make excuses, I have no tolerance or acceptance for it, because at the highest level, there are no excuses. There are no job salary cut in half, figure it out. Most of my day is talking to people like Peter. And I talk to Peter all the time in various rooms, but I haven't met one entrepreneur at the highest level. I'm not talking about small business or consultant. I'm not talking about people like that, or humans, regular, people. But I haven't met one at the highest level that hasn't overcome at least one of the following 4 things. Most are 2 or 3, and then I talk to a lot of all 4s. There's a lot of all 4s in Abundance 360 Summit, a lot of all 3 out of the 4. But the 4 things are bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy, 2, depression, 3, yeah, everybody nods at this, 3, the highest level of anxiety that you can imagine, and 4, likely and or possible traumatic experience as a child or young adult. So humans and business owners or consultants, they use those as excuses their whole life. Entrepreneur at the highest level, figure it out, execute, get on the boat. Yeah, so I just partner with people that'll get on the boat and eliminate all this other.
And could you lead us a little bit into your book, Epic Business, and then later on we could segue into a bit more about your newest book later.
I'll simplify it like this, because you're in A360 and I'm in A360. And I don't think most people can fathom being someone like Peter Diamandis. They just can't. Or someone like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. They can't even do it, but they can ponder being someone like me, where I just spend time with my family. I have a wife and 2 awesome kids, amazing wife, 2 awesome kids. And then I just do what I like to do and what I'm good at. And I just collaborate with top visionaries on planet and make as much money as I want to, so that they can think of that. They just don't know how to do it. And all the first book is how I did that with zero business background, no entrepreneur classes, no business classes in college, nothing. I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was when I started my first company. So all the first book is, and then Chris Voss, who wrote Never Split the Difference, did the foreword. I'm very grateful for that. And so that's how I did it. And the new book is 30 things I learned since the first book came out, and how I built the second company with someone I've met one time in person. He's in San Francisco, I'm in Chicago. And that's and since COVID, whatever, you figure it out. So in the Zoom era. So that's what the new book is about. Yeah. It's just an extension of the first. Yeah.
Speaking about COVID, how did that impact you during that period? Or is it still impacting you? Or how did you navigate that space when it came?
Yeah, you see the hat I'm wearing, Abundance 360 hat. But so I only partner with people that have 3 attributes in their mindset, only 3, because I'm a simplifier and I simplify things into patterns. So the 3 attributes are abundance, visionary, investment, abundance, visionary, investment. So people with those 3 attributes in their mindset, you can only be one of 2 types of people, because I simplify it. One, you're running in US dollars. You're running a high 6-figure to 10-figure business. You see your family whenever you want to. You do what you like to do, what you're good at. Okay, so that's one of the groups. And then the second group, if you have those 3 attributes, is you're not in the first group yet, but you will be. You're not there revenue wise, but you will be. So there's no what do you cost or charge. There's no scarcity. There's no nickel and diming. So with that background, no, when COVID started, I posted, I don't know, I think at the time I had about 45,000 followers, but time I'm like, this is the greatest opportunity for people with the right mindset. And that's what it's been, the greatest opportunity. It's been the greatest opportunity of all time for entrepreneurs with the right mindset. The great by far in world history. There's not even a close second. My first company profit is basically quadrupled. 2 in-person meetings in 2 years, one with a client who came in from New Zealand to visit with me in Chicago. Okay, I'll drive 20 minutes for that. And then 2 is a giant launch party I had for a new company, a really nice yacht club in Chicago. So I'll go in person for that. But other than that, no in-person meetings. And then second company, met person on Zoom. We've met one time only at the launch party. And then it's just technology exponential platform for what I'm already doing. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that this has been the greatest opportunity because they have the right mindset. So even if they lost 100% of their first business, like, well, you just figured it out. You just pivoted and yeah. But most people don't have the right mindset. Very few people have those 3 attributes in their mindset. I partner maybe with 1 out of 1,000 people on the planet, 0.1%. Most people, 99.9%, they never get on the Mayflower. They don't do it. And then they question and they can't understand the people that do. But those people, I just ignore them. I just partner with the 0.1%. Yeah.
It is a new world we live in, and it's like your story is very interesting. How?
Why are we talking right now? Look and think about it.
Exactly.
This is the greatest thing ever. Exactly. You liked one of my posts about Peter doing the forward, and then I'm like, oh, I did a quick look. I'm like, oh, you know what you're doing. You got a very high level. You're up to a lot of great things. Okay, happy to be on your show. Here you are. But that's just all that is a byproduct of the right mindset. That's all it is. That's all it is.
It's amazing how we can connect with people from all around the world through this way. Exactly what we're doing right now. Speaking ideas and sharing information, building businesses like you are. It's incredible.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things from that. There's a couple of things. So one, at the highest level, there is no competition, only collaboration. Technically, my first company is in the PR space, and most people are like, oh, that's a competitive. There's no competition. I haven't done outbound sales or gimmicks in years. All my brain does is it just magnetizes people with the highest level mindset, and they just make the investment. They don't care about the cost or the charge. They just make the investment. And then the other thing that you said that was really interesting, that I will honorably disagree with you, is I am not building businesses. I am not a business owner. I am a 100% full visionary entrepreneur. And I have no intent to ever sell either of my companies because it would literally be selling the purpose of my life. And I'm not, like, I don't care about revenue, employee count, office space, I don't care about any of that stuff. And again, I simplify into patterns. And this is a really interesting conversation. Business owners, they care about bottom line and costs and revenue. And all that stuff's fine. But true entrepreneurs, the folks I talk to, they care about purpose. They care about creating value. They care about collaborating. And the business owners, they're trying to change their world. The people I talk to, they're changing the world. It's a fundamental, I can't help their world people, but I can help the world people because I'm changing the world. So I help the world people change the world. Pretty simple.
That's a great distinction there. Thank you for sharing that, Justin.
Well, you're a the world person. You're the world. You have you have the millennial investments, you have restaurants, you have, how's it pronounced? Is it Kepley? Is it pronounced Kepley?
Yes, that's correct. Kepley.
Yeah. So you have that. I would say you're the typical entrepreneur, meaning you have a lot of things going on. I only have one, actually 2. I'm spending time with my family, or I'm growing my network on a global level. And I'm endlessly grateful for people like you, because you're the ones that are like, idea, all over the place, all these things. And I'm almost dead last in ideation on my strength finders. But if I hear a good idea, my top 3 are activate, maximize, achieve. So I just immediately simplify people like you, and then immediate connect. It just works, because people like you change the world, and then my brain simplifies and shares your message with the world. It just works.
Wow. I'd love to get some more tips from you and understand more about how to share the message and some ideas that I've got brewing.
Right. Well, that's so that okay, right. So no competition, only collaboration. My company's entire process is on the website. There's no tricks at all. There's no tricks. It doesn't matter because it just solves the problem. Now you're interesting because you've been in a lot of media. I wonder if you're using or leveraging this podcast to create more global opportunities, which is smart, by the way, if that's what you're doing.
With the podcast, we haven't really, I haven't really leveraged media too much for the podcast. For the restaurants, yes, but not too much for the podcast. Is something I love to connect with from people all around the world and understand people on a different level and be able to share what they're doing with as many people as possible. To me, I feel like it's a win-win situation.
Everybody wins.
And what started out as an experiment had continued on for me possibly endlessly, because like you said, it's not about the revenue, it's not about the company account or anything like that. This is really a part of me that I love doing. So
right, that's what I mean. You're the world that's what I mean. You're not a business owner, you're an entrepreneur. And this is super interesting too. I love Abundance 360. I'm also in this group called Strategic Coach. I'm very confident saying it's the top entrepreneurial coach company in the world or platform. Peter's in it. Dan Sullivan's the top entrepreneurial coach who's ever lived. So he's Peter's coach. That's how I met with Peter. Okay, so I spent a lot of time with Dan, right? And Dan's 77, I think, and he's been coaching top entrepreneurs in the world for decades, and he wants to live to 156. So I'm only giving that background because this is the person who came up with this idea. And he talks about the American mindset. It doesn't matter where you live or where you're from, but it's like and again, you chose Mayflower, which is that's amazing to me. So you're an American, whether you live in Australia or you're from Australia, that doesn't really matter. You're an American. That's really, so like my partner in New Zealand, he's from New Zealand, lived around the world, but he's an American. He's just an American. And by the way, and then Dan talks about this as well, there's a lot of people that live in America, they're not Americans. Even though they're American, they're not like this. So I found, that's what I mean. Like I had to find people who understood what I was talking about, regardless of where they lived. And the only people that understand what I'm talking about are top entrepreneurs in the world. And most, if not all of them, have an American visionary mindset, regardless of if they're American or not. So you're definitely an American. There's no doubt about that.
And how does he define this American mindset?
Well, that's what I mean. That was Dan Sullivan's. He has a scorecard for that. There's a scorecard for that. I think there's 8 questions. If you look up American checklist, that's where you can find that. Gotcha. But yeah, it's funny because there's 8 questions, and it's, are you a visionary, and do you believe in innovating and creating things? But then the last question hangs up a lot of entrepreneurs, because it's about, do you believe in a higher power? A lot of entrepreneurs don't. A lot of people don't, but a lot of entrepreneurs don't. They get stuck on that one. And I'm like, I fully embrace that there's a higher power. And I only need one reason why, and I actually just posted this today. But there's no doubt in my mind that there's a higher power, because there's no way without some type of God, whatever that is, that someone like my wife would marry someone like me. So I say that jokingly, but it's true. Like my wife's the nicest, kindest, most loving. She's a pediatrician. So think the opposite of me. And like without a higher power, there's no way that happens. So that's the only proof that I need. But I think that for the American mindset, that's key. That's key for that. That's what hangs up a lot of entrepreneurs, but not me.
Justin, I'm going to do a quick kind of roundabout segue back into something that we've spoken about, your book, Epic Business. The title of it is 30 Secrets to Build Your Business Exponentially and Give you the freedom to live the life you want. Would you be able to go into 2 or 3 secrets that you'd like to share with the audience, if that's okay with you?
Oh, yeah. Because that's why I wrote it, because people want to know how I'm either spending time with my family or building my network. I haven't done outbound gimmicks or anything in years. Top people in the world, I introduce top people, and then they introduce me to others. It just keeps growing. But there's 3 things. And you asked for 3. One is only partner with people who look at things as investments, not costs. If someone asks me, what do you cost or charge? I will never talk to that person again, because they're living in scarcity, transactional world, and I live in abundance, transformational world. I am in the world, not their world. No. So anyone asks that, No excuses. See you later. So all my company really is thousands of people that would never ask that. Okay. So that's one. Two is only do what you like to do and what you're good at. So I'm completely in my zone of genius, unique ability, MTP, which is to be a connecting superhero for every visionary, abundance, investment mindset entrepreneur and share their stories with the world, not their world, the world. Fundamental difference. So if I'm not in that space or hang out with my family, I don't do it, or I find someone else to do it for me. Okay, so that's two. And then three, when you start a business, this is inspiration, I think, for folks getting on the Mayflower. But when you start a business, it takes 2 full years to figure things out. 2 full years. So not 2 months, not 6 months, not a year, not a week, 2 years, 2 full years.
Your words of wisdom. We'll definitely put those links in the show notes for people to discover your book, and hopefully they can learn the rest of the 27 secrets.
Yeah, and it's here you go. And I think to simplify all this simplification, like it's pretty simple, it's easy, but most people can't do it because they make excuses. There are no excuses. And again, entrepreneurs at the highest level, I've never met one that hasn't been through at least one of those things. That's entrepreneur life. That's the difference between entrepreneurs and most of society. Entrepreneurs will never use those 4 things as excuses ever, but you will go through that without exception. At least one of them. I haven't met one yet. So that's if you can handle that, then you can have this life that I have. But if you can't, then you're going to make an excuse and fizzle out, or you just can't do it. You see what you're really made of in this world, for sure. Yeah.
I want to ask a selfish question, Justin. There is this project that I'm thinking about at the moment in the space of charity. We're in the process of collaborating with artists from around the world to create unique pieces of art related to climate change. And we wanted to raise those funds. A certain percentage goes back to the artist fees to keep it sustainable. And the remaining then goes to reinvestments into smart startups, green startups in that space, or community-driven initiatives. In that sense, what would be some PR tips, or any suggestions you think in terms of expanding that message? How to get that message out there?
Yeah, for me, that's like breathing, isn't it? I mean, it's not. Yeah, that's the purpose of my life. I'll simplify it for you. Media cares about 2 things, only 2. One is a good story, which everyone has, what inspires you, what you've overcome in life, why you started this, who your parents are, all that. And then 2 is a news peg. The news peg is, why is it a story now? So you just listed like 20 of them. But anyone at the highest level, they would never do this themselves. They would just find someone who's the best at it. And that's just, it's not, again, if I'm not truly world-class at something, I just have someone do it for me. My new company, my partner who's in San Francisco, most of his days talking to 8 and 9, 10-figure folks, and then creating connectivity for them. But he's a visionary integrator, and he found the people to actually build the platform. If I tried to do that, I'd blow myself up. I would electrocute myself. If I was thinking about being a chef, like trying to be a chef in one of your restaurants, I'm gonna cut my finger off. I'd lose a finger with it. And my point is, I just stay in my zone of genius. And any entrepreneur at the highest level would never try to do, unless they're world class at PR, they would never do that themselves.
Understood. Justin, anyone that comes across your page can see your work has been shortlisted and featured on many prominent spaces. I'm sure it hasn't always been this way, like you've shared in the past. Did you have a favorite failure that has set you up for later?
Favorite failure?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many. I actually don't even say that word, but you got me to. But to me, there is no F. It's the F word. Yeah. There's no such. You're either winning or learning. Again, that's Dan Sullivan saying it. So I had a lot of learning experiences. So my favorite learning experience, by far, and this might sound weird, but you'll understand. End of 2018, I made more money. Keep in mind, I was a journalist for 20 years. You don't get into that to make money. So end of 2018, I'd made more money in 1 year than I ever thought possible, and never been more miserable in my life. So my wife and I had just been featured. We went on a date every week that year without the kids. So somehow we became international dating experts. All these great things were happening. and never been more miserable in my life. So I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But it was a great learning experience because I realized that one, I'm not a business owner. Two, more money doesn't equal more happiness. And then three, I learned how it feels to go through like entrepreneur life because I still hadn't been in it for 2 years. It takes 2 years to start when you started. I hadn't been through 2 years. And I learned how it felt to be an entrepreneur and then realized, oh, that's just going to happen again and it'll be okay. I just didn't know. I didn't understand entrepreneur life yet at the 2 year mark. So I'm glad I went through that. I guess if you want to call that the F word, that's fine. But it was more of the greatest learning experience in my life of what this life actually is, and that it's okay. I'll be all right.
And I think that is a very true realizations for a lot of people that strive for more money at the beginning with the work that they're doing, and then later realizing that they're still very unhappy. Like, this is quite miserable. And a lot of people do talk about that curve where, like, once you hit a certain point, earning a certain amount of money, and then happiness doesn't then exponentially grow or grow equally linearly with the amount of money that you earn.
So that's a very powerful thing you just said. So I'm a dad who happens to be an entrepreneur. I'm not an entrepreneur who happens to be a dad. And probably once a week, I actually just posted this the other day, but once a week I talk to an entrepreneur who's let entrepreneur life destroy their family life or prevented them from ever having a family. And I am not that person. I will never be that person. And so how my brain works, because I'm so low in ideation, like almost dead last, which is very rare. You're probably top 5 in ideation if you've ever done your strength finders, and you're very high in futuristic also. But I'm very low on both of those. So what happens is I talk to people like you, and this is all my first book is, and then the second one is they're like, they say something, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll do that. I'll activate, maximize, achieve. I'll just do that. Okay. And then not as often, but it does happen. I hear them like, oh, I'm getting divorced. I don't see my family. Oh, that's a bad idea. I won't do that. And then I will activate, maximize, achieve, not doing that. That's literally how my brain works. I just listen to people that have let this destroy their lives, and I'm just not that person. I will never be that person, ever.
Speaking about that, do you have anything to share with other entrepreneurs or visionaries about spending more time with family, as well as even that time that you were talking about, how that period where you went on a date every week for...
Yeah, we still do that. Yeah, we go out to... Yeah, okay, so that's a really good question. And I think I know why. Most of the people I talk to, there's a test called Kolbe, Kolbe. I strongly recommend you and your audience take that if you haven't. But Kolbe index, it's $55 US, little red button. So most of the people I talk to, they're very high quick start, boom, boom, boom. And then they have little to no follow through. They're all over the place. So they have to hire 1 million people. Otherwise, nothing will get done. ADD diagnosed or undiagnosed. Yeah. And so ADD is not a disorder, by the way. It's a sign of genius. Okay. So I'm the very, very unicorn, very rare entrepreneur. It almost doesn't, I've never met anyone with my Kolbe score, but so I have high quick start and high follow through. So I don't forget about it. I don't hand it off to 30 people. I just say it, do it. Okay. So if it's a good idea, I hear it, do it. If it's a bad idea, I hear it, don't do it. And then it's immediately incorporated into my life. Okay. So with that background, if I want to spend time with my family, I block off my schedule, spend time with my family. It's done. Every Wednesday, my wife and I have lunch every Wednesday. I don't work on weekends. If my family wants to go with me somewhere for a day, I just block it off. It's done because I'm a dad who happens to be an entrepreneur, not an entrepreneur who happens to be a dad. So I guess the shortcut for that is just block off your schedule. Just do it. Don't forget about it, or have your assistants. A lot of entrepreneurs I talk to have like 10 assistants. Have them just block your schedule. Have them do that. And then here's my entire litmus test. This is, again, I have high quick start and high follow through, and I'm very direct. But if I talk to someone, and I know right away, because most of my days talking to the top entrepreneurs in the world, so I've gotten pretty good at this. But I talk to someone and I realize they're going to take time away from me and my family, I'll never talk to that person again, ever. Never, because why would I invest time in someone who's taking time away from me and my family? That makes absolutely no sense to me. So I keep raising rates with first company and new companies, high price point invite only, because that allows me to spend more time with my family. So people that make the investment, they allow me to spend more time with my family. That's really all it comes down to. And if it's helpful, what I hear from a lot of entrepreneurs is they think all this other stuff will replace time with their family and friends. And then they realize, or maybe they never realize it, maybe a lot of them don't, that it doesn't replace that. And they have all this money and they're miserable human beings. So I'm just not that person. Bad idea. I won't do that.
Thank you for sharing that, Justin. There's another thing that I've observed when hearing you speak is you often mention that when it comes to energy usage or time, you can quickly say, I'll never speak to that person again. And so
right.
It's for you, is that more, from what I see, it's more of a time and energy perspective. Is that what it is for you when people trying into?
Why would you waste time with someone who doesn't get it? So that's what I mean. A lot, not most, but a lot of entrepreneurs are trying to be everything for everyone. I'm a dad who happens to be an entrepreneur, and I'm one thing for one type of person. That's it. There's no, because I just want to spend time with my family. Last year, launched a second company, record profit for first company. I don't work. None of this has worked for me. It's fun. Started planning second book. Okay. The happiest time I had last year by far, there's not even a close, my family and I were, you don't have to have a family to be like this, by the way, but we were just sitting in a car, driving around, looking at Christmas lights and singing Christmas songs. That was the happiest. Okay. So I can't replace that that can't be replaced. So what I will say is this life allows me to do cooler things with my family. That's good. More opportunities and fun things. But again, when you talk to people that have let this life destroy their family lives, I know a lot of really wealthy people, really, really, and they don't see their families, and they don't have friends, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. They're not living in their life's purpose. And to answer your question, my investment in my time, my energy is in my family and my network. That's it. And the network are the people that give, but only to the people who get it. Because if someone doesn't get it, I'm not doing anything for that person because they don't get it. And then they're hanging out with other people that don't get it. So you're not only are you damaging yourself, but you're damaging your network by giving to people who don't get it. And there's not that the person who doesn't get it, they can't do anything with it anyway because they don't get it. So it's pretty simple.
I love how you put it. Just wasting time on people that don't get it. It's very simple. I love it.
Simple, but not easy, because most people, they get confused with what actually matters. And and if it's helpful, again, now this is the 2-year process thing. And my brain simplifies into patterns. That's just how it works. But so when you start a company, you get. So I reached out to 5,000 people to get first 5 clients. I had no idea what I was doing. So get. Then you get to give. You're mostly getting. You're giving a little bit, but you're mostly. Then you give to get. This is actually where most business owners / entrepreneurs get stopped. They give to get. They give, but they're only giving because they want to get a little bit. But then the point I've gotten to, and then people I hang out with, they give to give, but only to the people who get it. So I'll gladly give to the people who get it, even if I don't get anything back. But if they don't get it, nope. So it's not about getting anything back. It's just about giving to give to the people who understand it, who get it.
It's another great golden nugget you've just dropped there. Give to give. I love that.
But only to the people who get it. You don't just give to give. That's for people, they think just giving to giving. Because if you give to people who don't get it, you're damaging yourself and you're damaging the people who give to give who get it. Then you don't want to damage those. You don't want to do that. That hurts them. That hurts them. They don't want that in their lives. They don't want their world people. They want the world people. They want the real entrepreneurs because they get it. And so just giving to give, that's a dangerous slippery slope. And I've had to learn that. That's what I mean. I've had the failure ladder, right? I've had to learn that. People that waste time, they take time away from me and my family, they don't get it. So I learned, okay, good learning lesson.
And For someone like yourself, you seem like you have, not that you seem, I know that you have a very strong alignment with your purpose. You're very clear on what you want to do. You're clear on your strengths. How did you, for the audience, how did you come to more clarity of what you want and where you want to move? It's a big question, I know.
No, it's a great one, but I know the answer, and it's a great. It's such a good question. Such a good entrepreneur. Okay, so again, I'm a dad who happens to be an entrepreneur. Okay, so my father was. You'll understand when I do this. My dad was 61 when I was born. My mom was 27. Okay, my mom was 27. My dad was 61. So my father would be almost 106 now. His birthday's February 8th. So he was a World War II hero. You talk about a Mayflower pilgrim. Oh my God. Came from nothing, shot down 8 or 9 times in combat, spotter plane, bomber plane. Many times he didn't wear a parachute, get back on the plane. And became an attorney in the Nuremberg trial. After he died, I found his diary. He fought in the Battle of the Hürtgen Forest, very deadly battle toward the end of World War II, German-Belgian border. I found the diary after he died, and I write exactly like he does, just boom, boom, no BS, totally direct, no fluff nonsense. So that's my dad. And so he died when I was 13, and my mom was 27. So in his late 50s, my dad was driving, and a drunk driver hit him head on. Drunk driver killed instantly. My dad broke every bone in his body, but he survived because you don't figure it out. And then, so my mom was his nurse. And so she literally saved his life. And then most of my days talking to all fours entrepreneurs, all fours, those 4 things. And I still haven't met one person in my life ever that has more hustle than my mom ever. So I'm just a combination of that. And again, to answer your question, I know what it's like not to have a dad around. I'm not going to not be there for my children. My sons are 7 and 9. I'm just not. So it's pretty easy when you have parents like that. Get back into a plane without a parachute after you've got shot down. Okay, I can start 2 companies with 0 business background. My mom raised me and my 3 siblings. My youngest brother died when he was 29, drug overdose. Okay, my mom, obviously devastated, but still got, 3 kids and grandchildren. Okay, my mom's a great grandma. My wife, she and I met the day before she started medical school. If there's anything comparable to this life, it's going through medical school. So those are the 3 most important people in my life. If they can do that, whatever. It's what I'm doing is easy compared to that. So all this other stuff doesn't matter. I just want to spend time with my family. That's it.
Thank you for the backstory and sharing journey, like your family's journey. And it's very clear that family time is very important to you. Yeah. And even you mentioned before, the 2 things that you love spending time on is with family and building a network. And so that kind of also leads me on to something I've been thinking about is because I'm curious about people like yourself, visionaries, abundant entrepreneurs, about how they spend their time. Like, for example, in a week, what's your schedule look like? I'm always curious to study those things because I want to see, okay, where are you putting
just
your
like
resources?
Me, man. So there's a good phrase, copy genius. I was just on this show. His name's Dr. Bill Dorfman. So he's an entrepreneur who happens to be a dentist. So he's like a dentist for like Sir Anthony Hopkins, and he's interviewed him and Jason Alexander from Seinfeld, and I don't know, like people like that. So I was just on his show. And anyway, so he's copy genius. Okay, that's a good idea. I'll do that. So the way you ask that, that's what I do. I'm just like, I'll hang out with someone that's more evolved than me, and here's what they did. It's a good idea. I'll do that. Okay. Again, because I have high quick start and high follow through, I just say it, do it. So my day is very simple. I wake up. First thing I do every day is a grateful journal to my wife. That's the first thing I do because she's the nicest, most loving. She's the exact opposite. She's 100% gray. I'm 100% black and white. So, and most important thing for her is for someone to say thank you to her. I don't care if anyone says thank you to me, whatever, but she likes it. And so I thank her every day doing that. I've done that for a long time. Okay, so 2, I run 6 days a week, no matter the weather conditions. So I've done that for 20 years. We live in Chicago, so it gets cold. There's a blizzard today, actually, and I'm sure it's warm there right now, but it's very cold. It gets rainy, windy, all that. Okay, I've done that, run outside 6 days a week between 3 to 5 miles. So that would be between 5 and 8 kilometers. Okay, so I do that every day except Sunday. And when I'm running, I listen to inspirational podcasts or, things like this. Okay, so that's good mind fuel. And 3, I do a grateful journal on LinkedIn. I've got about 27,000 followers there. I've already included this and that, but every day, Monday through Friday, I do a grateful journal, what I'm grateful for. And then 4, I talk to the top entrepreneurs in the world. So I just listen like a sponge. Good idea, I'll do that. Bad idea, I won't be that. And I'm constantly learning. And so to simplify all that simplification, 1, that's my entire day besides hanging out with my family. But 2, when you're constantly grateful and living in gratitude, it's very hard to be ungrateful. It's almost it does slip in every now and then. But I've essentially built an impenetrable, grateful mindset that attracts other gratitude, grateful, filled, investment, abundance, visionary mindset that'll just make the investment. That's what's happened, is the right mindset attracts the right network, creates the right opportunities. That's the byproduct of having the right mindset.
I love the gratitude pieces that you've shared. I wanted to dive a little bit deeper in terms of your gratitude journal for your wife. Is it a message that you leave her, like that you write down on a post-it note? Is it in a book, or is it something, or you just simply talk to her?
No, want to know why it's unbelievable? Because I'm writing the manuscript for my second book, and then I just did chapter 10 today, which is a whole chapter on the grateful journal to my wife. I literally just wrote a chapter on it. And I stopped believing in randomness a long time ago. One of the other chapters is called God Will, which an entrepreneur friend of mine, Teresa Easler, calls them. I'm like, I don't believe in randomness. She said, no, those are God winks. Remember, transformational higher power. So you were meant to ask that question. Okay, here's more proof of that if you need it. But yeah, I don't believe in randomness. So the journal is 2 to 3 sentences, sometimes more, but mostly not. So it's as simple as, hey, my wife's name is Sarah. Sarah picked up the kids, or Sarah made a great dinner. Sarah got me this amazing surprise. Sarah really helped someone in her community. Sarah had a great day at work, worked a full day at the pediatrician's office, and then came home and spent a lot of quality time with the family. It's very simple. But if you do it every day, which I do, that's the first thing I do. 1, I would never forget how much I love my wife, but it really cements it. And it's important to her. So I'll send it to her every now and then just so she can read it. And again, my book acknowledgments, I didn't even think my kids or anyone in there, it's just to my wife, because without her, bad situation. It's just not. Again, that's proof of a higher power. That someone like her married someone like me. It makes absolutely no sense. It just doesn't. But here we are. And the only thing I can think of is that our first date was the day before she started medical school. So I got her at her weakest point. And then I told her I loved her a week after that, 1 week, because I couldn't tell her that day because it would have been too soon. So I waited a full week. But no, she's just everything.
Beautiful and lovely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. I mean, it's really a miracle. So, but I'm not, and I don't take it for granted. Believe me, I don't. By the way, too, again, I simplify and see the patterns, but most people like me, not all, there are exceptions, but most people like me, I always ask them, I'm like, is your spouse or partner, are they like a school teacher or a nurse or a police officer or a pilot or like I was a pediatrician. They're like, how did you know that? I go, people like us, visionary wackadoos, they're usually, but not always married to a stabilizing human, because they need that. You need the stabilization. So organically, that just seems to happen. Yeah.
At the end of a couple of interviews, there's a couple of questions. Actually, before we get into that, I want to ask, this is a question I love asking visionaries and entrepreneurs. If they have any new beliefs or behaviors that have had a positive impact in your life in the recent years. So I'm sure there are things that you've had in the past, but if you could think back in more of the recent years, if there's any new beliefs that or behaviors that you've come onto that have had that impact.
And you're an excellent interviewer. You just do a great job. I was a journalist for 20 years and did 2 to 3 stories on deadline every day. So I spent my life interviewing people. So I know when someone's really good at it. You're really good at it.
Thank you, Justin. It means a lot coming from you. I really
well, you have a gift for it. And I do a lot of media interviews, a lot, and I never stop learning. I'm always fascinated because that's the first time anyone's asked me that. It's the first time. And that's just a really good question because it's making me think about everything that I learned. So the most recent thing that I learned that was really, what happens is if I learn something really big, I write it down and then it becomes a chapter in the book. So maybe once a month that happens. So it really has to be good. So the thing I most recently wrote down, an entrepreneur friend of mine, his name is Pete Kofod. He told me it. And then another entrepreneur friend of mine, I had a discussion with him about it and we actually evolved it. So Pete was talking about the triple win, a triple win. And I'll land the plane so people can understand what it is. And then I'll talk about Dave Young and I actually evolved it into a quadruple win. And what we're doing right now is actually, it's literally what I'm talking about. So here's the triple win. I'll just relate it to my PR. Okay. So first part of the win, I'll just start with me because it's easier this way, is I win, my firm wins because someone makes an investment in my firm. Okay, that's a nice win. The second part of that win is the client, the partner wins because then they get introduced to all these great media opportunities. Okay, so they win. The triple part, the third part, is people like you get introduced to clients. So the host of show wins. So that's the third part of the win. And then Dave Young and I were talking, here's the quadruple, the fourth part. The audience is the fourth part. The audience wins. And where this all comes together is that the key for any collaborative relationship, partnership, is that it's at least a triple win. At least a triple win. That's how it goes beyond the transactional. That's where it goes beyond someone gets money and someone loses money. That's where it goes way beyond that because the third party, people like you, you're the third party, your audience is the fourth party. Mm-hmm. And that's the key. That's the key to creating a real entrepreneurial venture. It's not a double win. It's at least a triple, if not a quadruple. I haven't thought of the quintuple aspect of it, but maybe there is. Maybe you can help me with that, but at least a triple win. And that's what I've seen as my companies have evolved, is creating triple, quadruple wins, exponential wins, not linear, exponential. Yep.
That's a great one. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'll definitely go back through it and try.
Well, if you can relate it to your restaurant, I think it does relate to your restaurant because the customer wins, they get great food. You win because people pay you to eat there. Your employees win because they make, actually, I think it is a fourth win because then, and the chefs win because they can use their art to make cool things. So that is a quadruple win.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's really taking the win situation.
It's a win-win-win situation. It's a triple. That's what I mean. It's beyond win-win. It's more than that. That's the key.
I love it. Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, that's how my brain works. I just learn in real time. And if you solve the problem, then it's the problem solved. So it doesn't matter where you're located. It doesn't matter what you do. That doesn't matter. It's, do you have this mindset to create those triple and quadruple wins? That's what it is.
And as we're reaching the tail end of this conversation, I want to respect your time as well that we've allocated. I know that I want to respect your time as much as you protect your time.
It got dark here. Look at that. It got dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite book that you would recommend to the audience?
Another good question, man. Okay, so and I do a lot of reading. Oh God, a lot of reading. My dad was a voracious reader. I'm a voracious reader. My dad was a brilliant writer. I'm decent, pretty good. Voracious reader. My wife's voracious. Okay, so there's two. One is Man's Search for Meaning. You please tell me. Okay, good. Thank God. Yeah, if you hadn't have read that, I would have been flabbergasted. Okay, for those who don't know, he survived the Holocaust, wrote about it. I'm really simplifying that, but and to me, that's the greatest. I think that's the number one book ever written. I guess most people would say the Bible, but I mean, that for me, the key point to that book, there's a lot of them, but the key is to always have if you didn't have a bigger and better future, you would die. So the prisoners in the concentration camp, when they stopped believing in a bigger and better future, they would just die. And then I see a lot of entrepreneurs that they lost hope in their future and then they just shrivel up and they lose their purpose. And so that's why I started a second company, Bigger and Better Future, writing a second book, Bigger and Better Future, having Peter Diamandis write the forward, Bigger and Better. Okay, great. Okay, so that's the simplified version of Man's Search for Meaning. The second book, Robert Greene, Mastery, it's a New York Times bestseller. He's an incredible writer, also a former journalist. And he writes about how every great master became a master. So like Ben Franklin or Da Vinci, Michelangelo, if they were alive, he interviewed them. If they weren't alive, he did anecdotal evidence. And to simplify that, what I saw with the ones who were long gone, without exception, because only the men worked at the time, the masters, their fathers were exceptional entrepreneurs or businessmen. And then their sons, because the men worked, the sons learned that. And then without exception, they took that knowledge and rebelled. So the best part of being an entrepreneur for me is that my sons, they're 9 and 7. So they can see that this world even exists, because most people have no idea that they don't even know this world exists. So they can see this, and then they can take that knowledge and do whatever they want with it and then rebel. I can't wait for them to rebel. It'll be fun to see whatever they do with it. Yeah.
And the second last question, it's a question that I always ask at the end of the interviews. If you could only send one single line of text to yourself 5 years ago, what would it be?
5 years ago. That's your last question. That's unbelievable. My job salary was cut. Oh, see, again, like you can't. So 5 years ago today would have been 8 days before my job salary was cut in half.
Wow.
Holy shit, that's unbelievable.
God wink moment.
Yeah, right. Again, this is multiple ones in this. Holy shit. Sorry for swearing, but holy shit.
No worries, buddy.
No, I would have written, get ready, your life's about to change. Get ready.
Yeah. Wow.
That's unbelievable, man. That is so great. I can't believe that, but yet that makes perfect sense, because that's something like that happens at least once a day. It's happened twice in this interview. But wow, that is crazy. Great question. So you ask that every time.
Every time.
I didn't know that, by the way, obviously.
And of course, finally, Justin, how could people reach out or learn more about you?
Yeah, land the plane. How we connected, right? Justin Breen on LinkedIn it's the color, but with a B in front, Breen. Yeah.
I've thoroughly enjoyed connecting with you. This serendipitous. You've got great energy. You're no BS guy. I love that you're straight shooter, and I've already learned so much from this conversation, and I'm sure the audience will as well. I just wanted to say I'm grateful. I'm grateful to you for your time. Thank you, Justin.
You're welcome. Yeah, I feel like we Mayflowered our way right through this. Just plowed through. So hopefully the people in your audience joined us on the ship. So
for sure.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. All the links to the show notes will be available at kevinleesocial.com, spelled KEVINLY. Conversely, if you have any interviews that you'd love to recommend, please send it over to kevinleesocial@gmail.com. I'd love to connect. Thank you. Until the next episode.